What I'd like to do is just begin with a moment of silence where you can pray for whatever is in your set of concerns. I know that a lot of people are dealing with families who are having a lot of illness right now. Even if you don't have somebody who's directly affected, you know somebody at your school, I'm sure, or some family who's far away who's dealing with that. So let's put ourselves in the presence of the Lord and bless ourselves in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. And now we'll say Hail Mary. Hail Mary, full of grace,
The
the
Lord
Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou
art thou among women.
Hail Mary.
blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
What?
Holy
Holy
Mary,
Mary,
Mother of God,
Everyone.
pray for us sinners, now
now
and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Amen.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. So one thing that I did share with the principals is that Newsella reached out to us. And for those of you who already have Newsella as a school, this won't help you. Newsella's been allowing anybody in the world to join for free. But what they did for the Archdiocese is every single product is open right now in Newsella through the end of June. So the principals got a letter, and I sent one out to you, the exact same letter, saying that this is how you sign up. So as long as you're not already paying for Newsella, just follow that link. And if you have a free account, it just asks you to sign on to the free account, and then it automatically gives you every single tool that they have available. If you never had an account before, you can, again, just follow the directions, sign up for an account, and you're already automatically in with the Archdiocese of Newark. What they did was they listed every single elementary and high school. And so as long as you enter the name of one of our elementary schools or high schools, that's how they know to give you, to turn on everything. And then in the email that I sent, and those of you who are in high schools, if you don't have this from your principal or president, let me know. But next week, Monday from 3 to 4, the 2nd through 4th grade, they're going to focus on how do you get the most out of all of those Newsella programs. Tuesday from 3 to 4, they're going to work with the 5th through 8th grade teachers, same thing. And Wednesday from 3 to 4, they're going to work with the high school level teachers. And if your teacher's, an 8th grade teacher and they can't make the Tuesday meeting, they can certainly come to Monday or Wednesday. They just have to realize that the examples may not be for their grade level. And the same goes for high school. You can go to any one of the meetings. It just might not be as targeted as your content area. So let me open it up to you. What's on your mind today? Anything that you'd like to share that you found is working particularly well at this point, or questions?
Anne?
Yeah.
It's Mary Rose.
Hi, Mary Rose.
How are you?
Not bad.
I just want to say what some of the specials are doing, including myself. Since the core subjects are the ones that are doing the Google Meets and the Zoom, and the parents are rather flustered, with all the meetings and getting the schoolwork done, we are using our YouTube channel to introduce all of our subjects. I mean, our projects, I'm sorry. And the YouTube video is sent along to the students either through Google Classroom, or we post it on the school website. We have a special page for distance learning. And that's how we're getting around, not having a formal class. So we introduce it with a video, and then provide other materials. And then the students' parents or the students themselves send us their projects for grading.
Well, that's a nice way to do it, as a sort of like an opt-in for the kids as a special. And
Yeah.
yet you're giving everybody the chance to do everything. That's
Right.
a good idea.
And it's working pretty well. I mean, we have our music teacher, he's phenomenal. He does all these, lessons. He's teaching them how to sing, how to play guitar. He's got, project-based lessons. The art teacher actually set up a camera, so she does the actual art project and then posts the video on YouTube, so the kids can watch it and then do it themselves. So I just threw it out there in case anybody's interested. You can make a YouTube channel very easily, and all you need is a cell phone. Videotape yourself and put it up there for your students.
So Mary Rose, for those of you who don't know or don't remember, is at Academy of Our Lady of Peace in New Providence. So if you want to Google their school, or if Mary Rose, if you want to throw the link in the chat room. Sometimes it's really nice to just be able to see what other people are doing too. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I also made the videos unlisted. You have that option when you do YouTube. So you have public or unlisted. So the only way that your students can see it is if you send them the link.
And that kind of gives a nice feeling of comfort for teachers who aren't really wanting to be putting their face out there or
Exactly.
what they're doing.
Right.
We're doing something similar but the teachers are using their own YouTube channels to put their pictures up. Same thing, it's unlisted. What we do use the school one for is like we had the Lenten retreat, and we have a nice collage video of all the work they did that we're putting up on the school. But the teachers are using their own. Some of them are using just direct YouTube to their classroom. Some we're putting it on Flipgrid so the kids have an opportunity to respond via video. We're trying to, include that with differentiation besides just being fun, another way for the kids to express themselves. So, and we switched this week to the schedule of on Mondays and Wednesdays, we have math, science, Spanish, and religion classes. And on Tuesday, Thursday, we have reading, language arts, social studies, and Friday is all special. So we switched to that schedule this week. So far, so good. It was for a couple of reasons. Some of the parents were saying that it was a little difficult to switch on and off to all the classes every single day. So now they only have 3 or 4 classes every day. Pretty much the workload's similar, maybe a little less. And then on Friday, they could focus on specials. Because once we had brought specials in a couple of weeks ago, some of the parents were saying it was just a lot of classes to click in and out of every day, and they were missing things. So we try to organize it, in a little bit easier way for parents. And it does give some of the teachers who are still working these, 14-hour days to maybe regroup. We have some teachers who are just, math and religion teachers, so they're Monday, Wednesday, but math requires so much grading. So, they have that Tuesday, Thursday to go through and get in touch individually with students if it's needed. But yeah, we're definitely making use of the YouTube. And, the teachers have their own, because with our Google Classroom, I don't know, that's with everyone, YouTube is only for the admin account. You don't get YouTube with your individual teacher accounts. So they use their own Gmail and created their own YouTube just specific to this, with nothing else on it.
Right.
So
right.
Everyone's able to control their own work, and use. So I have to say, we've taken a huge jump in technology skills of our teachers this year. So yeah, you have to look at the positives, things that have come out of this, and that's one of them. I'm amazed, at the willingness of teachers who have been hesitant before. Just, I'll try anything. Let me just get whatever I can get to these kids. So it's been great. It's been great.
Yeah, I can see everybody's heads shaking. That was one of the unintended benefits of this whole process, because we've been trying for so long to share ideas as tech integration specialists and as teachers who have maybe embraced technology a little bit more. And then there's many teachers who this is really new for you. Some of you here on the Zoom conference right now. And I can't tell you how proud everybody is, from the principals to the superintendents. It's just been amazing to see how everybody's trying something new. And, the thing is, you don't have to overwhelm yourself with things. Just try one thing, and when it works, so like Chris was saying, if a teacher finds Flipgrid is the thing that works, that's okay. It's, you know, it's helping move things along. I was thinking what you were saying, Chris. Mary Alice, I think your school is one of the schools who has a day where it's more specials.
Wednesday is specials day, so it kind of is midweek. It helps give the teachers a little bit of a break and kind of catch up and reorganize. I heard somebody say, you know, some of these teachers are, you know, working 14-hour days. It's kind of like you're like on call 24/7 with emails and, you know, communications back and forth and getting lessons and who's can't sign into Seesaw and who's, you know, having trouble with this or that. So yeah, Caroline came up with the idea of doing a midweek specials break. So our art and music teacher is actually the same person. So we've been using YouTube quite a bit. Caroline posted a really cool newsletter yesterday, newsletter type of form where there's the links to Tracy's 2 YouTube channels for her art project and her music project. And our gym teacher is, you know, pretty young and fresh out of college. And he's also really good with creating YouTube videos. So the kids have like workout challenges each week that they can do, you know, in their home, either inside or outside. And, you know, we haven't been over adding the tech part of the specials day because really, you know, technology is every day. And I think we're one of the schools that's lucky because we have students who, you know, have pretty good technology wherewithal. So they're able to, you know, navigate at home learning fairly well if they want to, you know, I mean, it's like anything, you know what I mean? Like whether you're standing next to a child or you're remotely trying to teach a child, like, you know, so much of it has to do with their desire to, you know, to learn and be the best that they can be. But, you know, not too many tech issues, but the Wednesday special day has really worked out nicely. For, you know, we did a parent survey and I think 100% of the parents who participated in the survey, just to kind of get a feedback, too much work, too little work, you know, positives and negatives from their perspective. And they all, I think it was 100% love specials day because it's hard for them too, teaching their second grader and their kindergartner. And so they, parents, at least at our school, they're really happy to have that midweek, you know, academic break where they kind of transition to do some specials.
And I guess it lets the kids catch up a little on their work too. It's not so much new learning in the subject area space.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
we have catch-up Fridays at Good Shepherd Academy.
So more like what Ramsey's doing.
Yeah, so I didn't hear the beginning, so that's why. And that's for actually a lot of the younger grades will have one-on-one conferences, like in the kindergarten, they'll schedule Zoom, you know, in small group meetings. Specials still have, I still have classes on Friday, but I also do a makeup class as well on a Friday. So that's been working for us, Catch Up Friday in our school.
And so Janet, I was thinking about you too, especially. You're doing what somebody had said. A lot of teachers are trying things for the first time. And I was talking to your principal, how you're working with Seesaw primarily with some of your grades, right?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about how that's going.
Well, the funny part was that when I said to them, when did we do that? Last spring?
Yes.
Was it last spring? I brought that back and they were like, oh yeah, this is good, this is good. So I follow up, nobody did it. So
That's
now
right.
I bring it up and all of a sudden it's a wonderful product. So yeah, you were absolutely right at the beginning of the meeting. Now they're all in, but we're not having any issues. We're playing with it. We have test classes. We're going to try to go live with it next week.
And
Hopefully.
so for those of you who don't use Seesaw, what I was telling Janet's principal is one of the benefits is the translation service. So you don't need to keep adding products to your teachers, but if you have a teacher who's really struggling with what tool to use, because there's still a few teachers that are dealing a little bit more with paper and pencil and workbooks. And Anna was saying Seesaw is working great for them too. Seesaw can work on any platform. So whether it's a Chromebook, a cell phone, a tablet, but the benefit of it is you could write a note to parents or a principal could have a class and it'll translate up to 55 different languages. And they have pen welcome letters in a variety of languages as well. So if you have somebody who's still struggling with how to present work to students, Seesaw could be a good platform, and it's great for pre-K up to grade 12. It can be particularly good for math teachers because they can use the whiteboard tools, they can record audio of themselves. It's great for the littlest kids because a teacher can leave audio feedback so the kids don't have to read in order to hear what the teacher's giving them as feedback. So yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing about Seesaw, Janet, as time goes on.
Well, you know what? I think the other thing is so simple. It's so simple. My non-tech teachers are really not struggling with it.
Good.
So very basic. And if you need a teacher who's struggling, Seesaw was the way to go.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that. So tell me, what have you found that's working better with you as a teacher for working with your students coming back from Easter break?
I kept everything project-based like I did before.
Okay.
And I pulled it all the way down to 4th grade, and they've been excelling. So I just kept it exactly the same and just been aiding the teachers that needed help. And I would say 95% of the teachers are up to task with technology. So I'm pretty happy with what they're doing.
That's excellent. I'm glad to hear that, John. And project-based for the technology teachers makes a lot of sense because, like Mary Rose was saying, everybody's getting technology all day, every day. How about struggles? Is there a struggle that one of you is dealing with that you'd like to share that maybe some other people can help you brainstorm what they're doing?
Okay. I think the biggest struggle is that I'm not getting a whole lot of response from my lower grades. Pre-K, K1 and 2 have the least response to any projects that I've put out there. I've told our principal, other specials have had similar reaction. So I've sent emails out. I've tried to, be as, helpful as I could, try to encourage them to do something, because I don't even know what to put on the report card at this point, Some parents, yes, they check the projects and they get them in. They might get them in late, but I don't care about that. I just want to see that they're doing something. But it's been a real struggle. The upper grades, 3rd to 8th, no problem. It's all lower grades. So I don't know what to do about that.
Has anybody had that experience where
I've had some meetings with like small group meetings for children who are struggling. And I do notice that kids are very, very, I wouldn't say the word depressed, but they are definitely showing signs that they've had enough. Every message to me is, can we go back? I miss you. I miss my classmates. And so I'm a little bit concerned about that. Hey, I'm just as bad as that, but I'm wondering if we're going to be looking at that as well as a archdiocese, what we can do for those kids.
We are. Eileen O'Neill started this week having workshops specifically for teachers, and it's for any pre-K to 12th grade teacher. Some of it, what she's talking about, is differentiation in order to capture the kids who are struggling. But a lot of it is what they call social-emotional learning. So it's really taking a look. Eileen's doing this on, I have to take a look. When the next person's talking, I'll look in my email. But I believe it's Tuesdays from 2 to 3. And Eileen's getting on Zoom. I can get you the information, but your principals already have it. So a big part of what she's doing is that social-emotional learning piece. How do you figure out which kids are struggling, like you're saying, Mary Rose, with just really being that feeling of isolation? What I've heard from some of the principals is that both the kids who are more extroverted are suffering because they feed off of just being socially with their pet friends, but the kids who are kind of introverted are also struggling. It doesn't hit anybody easier or harder. So definitely look into Eileen's Zoom sessions, and she's helping people with that piece. And there'll be more coming past that, but that's initially how the Archdiocese is going to try to support you all with the students.
Hi, Anne. It's Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
How are you? How is everybody? I hope everybody's fine. One of the problems that, well, not really a problem, it's more like a difficulty, is that although I have 95% of my teachers that are now using technology, I'm trying to advise them to, to give themselves a break, especially. And I'm trying to give her tips. I'm like, you have to spread it out. You can't make everything do in one day. Another teacher who's still struggling with learning how to use Zoom, using the screencast, and try to teach him. Another teacher who is still struggling. I don't know what other tips, if anybody else has any other tips, like just throw them randomly at me.
Oh yeah, please just unmute yourself and jump in, share what you've been learning with Michelle.
Are they using Google Classroom?
Yes, they are.
Are you a co-teacher in their classroom?
No.
Maybe that's something you could consider,
Okay.
adding yourself as a co-teacher. So
Okay.
you can kind of track what assignments they're doing, how often, they're asking the due dates and things like that.
Okay.
So maybe as a consultant, if you want to put it that way.
Okay. That sounds good.
Okay.
And then follow up with the principal on what you're seeing too, because I know your principal can be a massive help when she understands what that struggle is. Go ahead, Ann.
Some of our teachers are using Google Meet instead of Zoom.
Okay.
And they seem, we have an annex 6, 7, and 8 middle school. They seem to like the Google's Hangout instead of Zoom because they feel the Zoom was buffering a little bit too much and there was lag. So they could get more response from the students that way.
Okay. Neat. And I know that there's an interface for that on Google Classroom. I just haven't used it yet.
Yes.
So we decided at our school to kind of like split the school. 3rd grade and below are using CISO for because they found that a little bit more appropriate for them. And 4th grade and up are using Google Classroom. And both of them allow you to have co-teachers. So I am in all of the CISO classes as a co-teacher, and I am in some of the Google Classrooms as well, because the elder classrooms, they don't need me as much as far as technology, but the teachers are pretty good. In our school, we just happen to have the ones that the teachers that struggle the most are sort of in the lower grades, and some of them. So if I know that's something they're gonna need to definitely learn in order to post assignments, then I go ahead and try to have individual meetings with them. But if they were struggling to like adding students or parents, or parents sometimes lose the password or the account or whatever, and they had to add more, I just went ahead and just did it myself, and as a co-teacher to make it just quickly, and then just leave the teacher kind of focus on the teaching in that sense. And then I'll have time to teach them how to add and send codes for those who are struggling. But being a co-teacher was, and each one of them was pretty, it's worked it a lot.
Okay, wonderful.
Very well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I actually wrote all of that down.
Ann, did you have another thought?
Yes, we have a little bit of a struggle with devices that the teachers use. Not every teacher has a laptop at home. Some of them have Chromebooks, and some of the Zoom features are not the same for the teachers. Like they had issues with the whiteboard and some kind of recording where when they're on laptops, they could see the children's work and switch the remote to each kid. And then recently Zoom did an update and it threw a lot of the equipment for a loop. So I had to talk them into doing the update for Zoom as well.
Now, that's good to know. And also, when you were speaking about Google Meets, Anne, if you haven't been following a lot of the postings, Google's really, really stepped up the game on Google Meets. And I know that Anna was working, I think, on trying to get something called Jamboard up and working.
Yes, yeah, for some reason we were not being able to find it in the Chrome web store. And I think it was, yeah,
Margaret Sullivan,
Margaret
right?
Sullivan, my my other Sullivan, she helped me out. And it turns out you have to be a super admin or in Google to be able to find it.
Yes.
We found it and
It's
working. It's working pretty well. Like the teachers who need it is working.
Could you tell them a little bit about Jamboard, because it's kind of like that Zoom whiteboard feature, right?
Yes, it is. It just I would say it gives you more features, and because it allows you. I haven't explored Zoom whiteboard as much, but this one gives you one thing that I found very interesting, very useful for math teachers. You're able to change the background of the screen, so you can have actually like a grid, or if you're teaching, anything else, you can have like line paper, so you can be like writing and graphing and things like that. You can. It has a lot of features like many of the drawing boards in other platforms have, like your marker and your pencil and your laser point, but it also allows you to save them and to have pages of them. You can just go back between pages, and yeah, it's a lot more comprehensive than others I've seen around.
So that's a nice feature for you all to know about. If your teachers, if they're working in Zoom and it's working, don't make them change, obviously. But if Zoom isn't working for the teachers, Google Meet might, because there's less bells and whistles that you have to worry about. But as a super admin for Google, it's good to know that you can look for that Jamboard feature to turn on. And like somebody was saying before Easter break, there's plenty of YouTube tutorials on how to use these things. But I thought it was great that Anna was able to tell you why she and her teachers have found a benefit in that.
Yeah, that, and along with the grid view in Google Meet, they're the happiest with those two things.
Right.
We're still waiting for the being able to share audio. Google Meet still does not allow you in some cases to share audio from your computer.
Okay.
But I think they're working on that, and the update is coming soon.
And somebody else, and I don't know if it was you, Anna, but it might have been somebody else right around Easter time, was asking about how they could use Google Meet, share the screen, and then be able to also see the students at the same time. And so what somebody was going to try to do is have their shared screen on one computer and then mute another computer and just be able to put that grid view on so they could judge the reactions of the kids.
I think 2 monitors would be fantastic, but not everybody can do that.
No.
But you sign in twice. One monitor you sign in, you have your grid view, and then in the other one you're doing your share screen. But that's just not realistic for some teachers at home.
Right. Yeah, it may be too much juggling.
Yeah.
But if somebody asked, we found out you were able to sign in to Google Meet twice, and it doesn't give any issues with that.
Yes.
And the big thing that you have to remember to do as a teacher is to wait until that last child logs out of the classroom and then log out of a teacher so that the room closes.
Completely. Yes. That was an issue at the beginning.
I do love how Google Meet is now compatible with Google Classroom.
Yes, the ability to schedule
Yeah.
right from Google is a nice feature. And you can also nickname your session in your settings page as the Google Classroom teacher so that they can get used to one thing like, Mr. Folletti 1, Mr. Folletti 2, so that they can just keep going back to that.
They really are stepping it up, which is very nice.
It is. What other products are you finding that are working for you? We talked a little bit about Seesaw and a little bit about Google Meets and Jamboard. Any other things that you're finding are helping particular teachers or yourself?
Man,
Yeah.
at our school we use Microsoft Teams, and it has videos for that, it has share screen, it's all connected with Microsoft Office for 365 for education, and it's been working great. There's been a lot of chatter online, even about Microsoft Teams, because of course many corporations use it as well. So the only feature that everybody doesn't like is you can only see 4 people at once. So that's that's why sometimes our teachers are using Zoom in certain situations, but other times we're just sticking with Teams just because they can see more people. However, the kids like to shut off the video cams most of the time and just want to, hear the audio or speak, but not be seen. And so we are complaining about that a little because it's hard to teach a class where you just see a blank screen and they're there, but they're not totally. It feels like they're not because you can't see them. So a lot of people have been shutting down their video. So that's become a recent problem. I don't know if anybody has that issue that they're actually talking to the class and most of them don't want to be seen, especially the upper grades.
And I know, Bob Miller, you also have the Microsoft Teams. How is that going for you in your school remotely?
Well, we're actually using Zoom. It was just easier to get it up and running.
It was,
But,
yeah.
yeah.
Al was telling us a little bit, if those of you haven't had a chance to hear Al speaking about how they've been suggesting the high school students come dressed. If you want to share that again.
Sure. We have, not sure what the right verb is, but we've told the kids that they have to show up in either a Bergen golf shirt or the pullover that I'm wearing, which is what I keep on the dining room chair next to me. So whenever I have to come on camera, I just throw it on. We've told them they have to be groomed. They can't be in bed. They have to be at a table or a desk. Now, there are some kids that will do exactly that. They'll come in, they'll sit there for 5 minutes, turn the camera off. And we're using Blackboard Collaborate, so the teacher can only see a few kids at a time. So it's not like Zoom where you can see everybody, which is a problem. But we struggle with, well, if our kids, if they don't show up, where do we go with that? And we're making phone calls home, and our assistant principal kind of pushes and we'll talk to parents. Why was your son not online today? Oh, he was online, but he didn't have his camera on. Why didn't he have his camera on? And then how do teachers judge participation? Because if I'm an introvert, then I don't want to talk, whether it's on camera, and I'll be very content just sitting here nodding my head and not talking. And some of our teachers are they're grading participation on how the kids are in the in their virtual environment, and it's there's not really an understanding of, well, if you are like I said, if you're an introvert, you're an introvert. If you don't want to talk, you don't want to talk. It doesn't matter what the setting is. Right. So we're trying to still kind of feel that out of what's the most appropriate way to judge participation, and what does it mean to be involved in class? What does it mean to go to class? I think our kids are starting to get a little, they're doing 6 hours a day. They're going to 6 45-minute classes a day, and they're doing in this type of setting. I think it's a lot. And, I know my own children who are in a public district, like their teachers have started to look at Fridays as a, let's dial back a little bit if you need to catch up. They're adjusting what days who gives homework. So I think now that we've been doing this a month, there's a lot of, okay, where are we? Where can we go forward? And quite honestly, let's, with the pink elf in the room is, we're not going back this year. Let's just get to a point where we need to plan for the rest of the year and not, well, let's see what happens on May 15th. Come on, we're, and again, I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to sound, gloomy, but let's think about, are we going to give final exams? Are we going to give a final, a different assessment? How are we going to, what are we going to do in the next month and a half? We're not going to do a graduation, all that kind of stuff. We just need to come to terms, at least I think, with the people that I talk to, in terms of let's look at reality. We're not going back. And how does the end of the year look in terms of assessment, in terms of, giving, all that kind of wrap stuff. There's some kids that are, well, I have stuff in my locker. Okay, that's a valid concern. Like, some of our kids actually still have stuff in their locker, which God only knows what it smells like by now. But, we still have that kind of stuff. There's, we're not going to have a prom, like all that. Let's just, I think we need to come to grips with reality at this point, because, the end of school isn't that far away, and let's figure out, what we have to do to be successful and on a successful note. And to also take too, we're also struggling with summer school. What do we do with summer school for kids that fail? As in a high school, we're going to have kids that are failing. Were they failing before they went out on the pandemic? Were they failing as a result of? And how do we handle all that? So that's another struggle we're thinking about.
I've heard conversations too about, if you've loaned equipment to students, what are you doing about the graduates? And then can you handle it separately for the kids who are returning again next year?
Yeah, the equipment, and not like from my standpoint, we generally collect machines to image and service over the summer, which we had already decided we weren't going to do anyway. Right. But still, how do we facilitate that? We've got to get stuff back from kids, or we have to take software off, or we have to prep, stuff for next year. And, how do we do that if potentially, we're not able to work, like I'm not able to work in my building in the summer, or, I'm not back, I'm not able to go in until August. I will throw out too that, we're ordering Apple devices for our freshmen like we always do, but I'm also thinking about supply chain and how, I could normally get iPads in a week because they come from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. But if they don't have any and we're getting it, if this stuff is coming from like China or the Far East, how long is that going to take to get to me so I can prep it? So again, stuff we're thinking about now that, I might have to push up my purchasing timeline. I might purchase in the middle of June. I might want to do it, in the next 3 weeks, so I can ensure I have stuff when I'm ready to actually to work on it.
No, that's a good point, Dal. And, part of the problem for a lot of the elementaries is we end up having to wait for the state technology fund to be able to do that. But it is something that you might want to be talking about, the principals, that the supply chain is possibly going to be very different this year. And another thing, Al, that you mentioned that I just want to put out to everybody is last Friday, I ended up on an Apple phone call. So drop me an email and let me know, any of you, if you're using a lot of Apple products. It was a really nice, I think it was from 1 to 2, and it seems like they do them weekly. It's Apple distinguished educators and other teachers who, again, are just talking about a little showcase of how teachers and students are using Apple products. And, so if you want me to send you that information, let me know and I'll get that to you. Also, Al, everybody is just on the chat.
I'm looking.
So
yeah,
impressed.
I'm reading all that now.
It sounds really good.
It's I got it on, I think it was Amazon. It's upside down. It's fee fine. I think that's what it's called. It's because I've been doing that. Somebody put out there, I think it was you, Ann, about Podcast PD, and I've become a happy regular on that podcast on Sunday nights. And I got the microphone came. I want to say I got it on Amazon, and I'll find the link and put it up there. The boom actually was twice as much as the microphone. This is blue, and I actually got this at Micro Center. Because again, there's no such thing now as getting something overnight on Amazon Prime anymore. So I think it was like a 3-week delivery time frame. So Micro Center is one of the few places. And by the way, if you are in desperate need of technology, the one in Patterson, Micro Center, is open. You just have to put your name on a waiting list to get in the door. You wait about a half hour outside. You got to wear a mask. But if you're in desperate need of computer supplies, so I just have it clamped on my desk. That's really it. But it does. everybody says, "Oh wow, it looks really good," and that's what I'm aiming for, is the look. It really is not anything else. But you
But the
know,
sound is good.
yeah, it does have a nice. I know when I've tested it, it has a nice sound to it. And like I said, it's a seat clamp. It sits on my desk, and I just have it over my laptop. So and the camera I had for a while, it's a Logitech 922, I think, or 992, one of the two. And I had that for a while, and I have that on top of my external monitor. So,
Well, thank you for sharing your toys.
Oh
with
yeah,
me.
absolutely. And I'll put I'll find the exact microphone. The microphone is only maybe like $40, and it comes with a little stand. So even if you don't use a boom, there's a little stand. But if it was weird, I kind of had to lean down, and it just looked weird. So, but I'll throw the information in the chat once I find where I got it from. Like I said, I think I might have got it from the company directly, the microphone. I don't think I got it from Amazon, but I will look for that.
Okay, and I also threw the link to Podcast PD into the chat room. A gentleman named Chris Nacy, and I can't remember the two, and it might even be, the two other people who were with him.
AJ Bianco and Stacy.
AJ,
Yeah, I
right.
can't. Yep. Yeah, mm-hmm.
So they're just enjoyable. They have a good spirit about them. They're New Jersey educators, so it's good if you have a chance. So
Sunday nights at 8:30.
Sunday nights at 8:30.
I'm wondering if any of you I've been using a drawing table, one of those drawing tablet that you attach to your computer for drawing, for art purposes in the past. But I'm wondering, mine's still working, but I'm wondering if any of your teachers or any of you are using that. I think a lot of our math teachers are getting tired with writing with a mouse, and I know it's just virtually impossible to do good writing with a mouse. And I know that a drawing table is fantastic. I mean, I can draw and do tons of things, but I'm wondering if mine is a little more expensive. I don't want to suggest that to my teachers, but I don't know if any of you have explored that, and do you have any recommendations of the little ones? I know Wacom is a Wacom, or I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah,
it's a good brand, but I don't know if any of you have done that.
Our math teacher is using one of those white paper easel pads, and she's just recording her work on YouTube.
Yeah, I have suggested that too.
Right. And that's where things like Seesaw come in handy. If you just start a Seesaw video, you could point the camera at the white pad and just do a flip chart. So you're right, Ann, that, sometimes low tech is as good as high tech, but once you get used to those Wacom tablets, it is a lot easier than trying to use a clunky mouse or a touchpad.
Some of our teachers are going back to school and picking up their Elmos and attaching it to the laptop to use during the Zoom sessions. It's a little tricky, but we've figured it out.
Right, and then others have tried that trick that I had posted in the Facebook group where they're having a Zoom conference with themselves, and the one Zoom conference is them talking. The other Zoom conference is their cell phone kind of suspended on a soup can, and they're using the just paper and pencil to record the video of them explaining on the main Zoom screen what they're doing, and then using the second to just write and explain what's going on. So there's a lot of tricky ways that teachers can try to do a little better than using the mouse to draw everything out. Chaz, how's everything going up at your school?
We're doing good. The only thing is we had some, I guess, hiccups because the lower grades, we kind of didn't have a Google Classroom like the older grades did. So the older grades transitioned pretty well because they were already on Chromebooks. They already had all their things. I'm kind of right now in the process of setting up classrooms for the 1st through 3rd grade teachers. So, it's a little difficult remotely trying to, I guess, teach the whole young kids and their parents to try to get on. And, before we left, we kind of scrambled to get 4th and 5th grade on, which was fine. They're older.
Right.
But we'll see how some of the lower grades.
And that's where, talk to your principal and maybe play a little bit with that Seesaw app, because it may be a little bit more accessible for the people who really struggle. And I understand if you want everybody on Google Classroom just for consistency,
Mm-hmm.
we might be able to dig up some, I don't think you're in the Facebook group. I'll send everybody a link to that. But there's some links in there about helping teachers in the younger grades getting used to Google Classroom, and links about how to help parents help their kids with it. And also, just as a reminder, and then I'll get back to you in 1 second, Michelle, is the early childhood teachers are getting together with Gloria Castucci, who's our director of early childhood learning. So it's mostly pre-K, let's say 2 through kindergarten, first, second grade teachers. They get together at 10:30 every Friday morning. And then I've also recorded those, Chaz. So if you think it would be helpful, usually it's between 30 and 60 teachers getting together. So it might help some of your younger grade teachers just to listen, even if they, hear and get inspired what people are trying to do to support those youngest learners.
Okay.
Go ahead, Michelle.
Coming from somebody who's not all teachers are technology based, what I've had to do in the beginning is I had to make screencast recordings with instructions, and then send it to the teachers who were struggling, and it helped for some of them. And then also with some students, there were some individual parents who had reached out to the teachers, and then the teachers reached out to me on how to sign on to Google Classroom. I did the same thing, and I sent it to them if they had the email. Now, how to do that on more than one grade level, I don't know.
Right.
I was gonna say put it on the website, but then that might not be a good idea. But individually, it is possible as a grade wide, unless you have like all the parents' emails, which exists somewhere in the school.
Mm-hmm.
There is a way to do it.
Lori had mentioned using in the chat Screencastify. Lori, did you want to tell us a little bit about what you've been doing with that, or what other teachers have been doing with Screencastify?
Well, I send the teachers if they need to know how to do something step by step, but I also do it for all my technology lessons. So I'll do a step-by-step video and post in the Google Classroom, and then the assignment so the kids can go back and watch it. Because it's hard to do technology over Google Meets because they can't use their computer and be on a Google Meet at the same time. So I always put a step-by-step video.
Right, and Screencastify is quick, easy, and free.
Yes.
So that's a nice thing.
And a lot of the teachers have all the parents' emails from Power School, so they'll send out a video of how to get into the Google Classroom and how to do this, or how to submit an assignment. I do it step by step.
And the thing with Screencastify for free is they give you 5 minutes, but
there is a code. There is a code that you can extend that. I forget.
And Anna just dropped it into the chat, cast_COVID. So I didn't realize that.
And then you get unlimited.
Excellent.
Because I've done like 20 minutes, 30 minutes for some technology things for the kids to follow step by step.
So
in some cases though, you just have to really, really be a hand holder. You just really have to. Like yesterday, I have a teacher at one of my schools who I helped her set up a meet with her class before break. I talked her through it. She set it up on her own through calendar because she wanted to schedule it. We got all that squared away and whatever. And she said, "Can I add you to the meet? Are you available? Because in case something goes wrong." I said, "No problem." So during that meet, I just, I was in the meet with the students, and she couldn't get into her own meet, and I left my cell phone in the other room, and she's calling me, but we got it squared away. Everything went really well. Then I don't know if she forgot over a break or she's still nervous or whatever. She called me yesterday and she said, I want to do another meet on Friday. I had the kids. I told them they could show them during the meet. Great, no problem. Can you talk me through it again? I talked her through it on the phone. I said, let's set up a one-on-one meet. I'll flip my screen around. I'll show you how to do it step by step. Still just was a little overwhelming. So I said, you know what? I have the same students in one of my Google Classrooms. Why don't I just set it up for you? This way, it's all set up. I'll facilitate it. And then what I do is once they all start talking, I take my headphones off and whatever else I need to do. You guys good? You need me? Okay, great. Yell out if you need, or call my cell or whatever if you need me, whatever. And I don't have to sit there if I want to, but I don't have to sit there and while she's teaching her lesson or whatever. So tomorrow at 10, I'm going to have to get into this meet, keep my cell phone handy. And again, it doesn't really bog me down because like I said, if I have to grade, if I have to whatever, you guys good? You all set up? Everybody's here? Okay, great. And it's just the way, some people are real comfortable with it and some people just aren't. But after talking her through it, I said, you know what, this is the only way this is going to work. Let me set it up through my Google Classroom, add you in, and then we'll go from there. And then who knows what'll happen next time. But you just have to, sometimes you just have to, you're going to end up doing the extra work anyway. So you may as well skip the middleman and just hold their hands and get them through it the best you can.
And I'm glad you shared that, Trish, because that was one of the things I've talked to a few principals this week for the last couple teachers who are really struggling, is that as tech directors and tech integrators, you might have a little bit more flexibility in your schedule because you are there to almost more support teachers in many ways. And that ability for you to run the Google Meet or to run the Zoom and just let the teachers do what they do best, which is teaching the kids and
Right.
connecting with the kids. It's a big lift that you're doing. Mary Rose was talking about in the chat when she's trying to help a teacher, and I've done this a lot myself, I don't bother sharing the Zoom controls. I'll take a screenshot, and Mary Rose is teaching them how to use the snipping tool that's in Microsoft. Or you could do the Command Shift 3 or Shift 4 in an Apple product. Chrome has its options, and then share that, because that way you can say, this is what I'm looking at, and this is what you should look for when you're working with the kids. Thank you so much for all the support that you're giving everybody. I know that we're all, whether you're a third grade teacher or the tech integration specialist or a high school chemistry teacher, you're all learning new ways. And I think as a whole, as the Archdiocese, when all is said and done, this is going to just make us so much stronger. I know from phone calls I've gotten and other superintendents have gotten, the parents are very grateful. It's an honor to work with all of you in all the different ways that you're supporting your students. Have a great rest of the week. I hope that you're able to find something to really just take your mind and step away. I think it's so important because, my hope was that by the time we come back to from Easter break, nobody feels like they're having to put in 12 and 15-hour days. But we still need to make sure we take that time, whether it's for a walk or just to open the window and get some fresh air. So have a good rest of the week, and I look forward to getting emails from you if you have questions. I'm always available to do a quick Zoom or a phone call, so just let me know how I can help, okay? Take care. Bye-bye now.